Okay, so I just saw Hoppers yesterday, which is the most recent Pixar film, which means I have seen all 30 Pixar films. I'm glad I could round it up to a nice even 30. Anyway, about Hoppers, I wasn't really expecting much whenever I went in to watch this. It just kind of looked like a normal human talking to animal kind of story where it would just be a generic plot with cheesy jokes, and it wasn't really going to surprise me. And I'll be honest, there's a couple things in there. Like, there are some cheesy jokes, there are some cliches in there that I'm not the biggest fan of. But all in all, I was actually pretty impressed by this. But before I get into the reasons why I like the movie, I do want to talk more about the negatives of the movie, because I feel like there are more positives than negatives, so I might as well start with the negatives and then work my way over to the positives, because there are a lot more positives compared to the negatives. So here are the things that I didn't really find that great about the film. And also, of course, spoilers. If you haven't seen it already, go see it and then watch this. But if you don't care about spoilers, then keep watching. You've been warned. Anyway, let's get into it. The main villain is pretty weak, I'm not gonna lie. We only really get one scene showing him being evil before he takes power, and that's the same scene where his mom dies and he takes over, which is, I mean, the cry into the laugh thing was kind of one of the cliches I wasn't really a big fan of, because he did that like multiple times. I honestly don't even remember the villain's name or what his real design is supposed to be. Since Jerry isn't actually the villain, it's unclear if the real antagonist is the caterpillar version or the butterfly version or the Jerry version. I don't know. There's multiple versions of him, so I don't really know. I'm not sure. The whole I'm going to take over all animals, including the species that are helping me, really feels forced. It feels like something they included to give the animals working with him a reason to turn on him, and it kind of felt a little bit like Hop, whenever the bad guy bird says he's going to put worms in candy instead of Easter candy, which is not even a good plot line, this is not as bad as that. Hop is one of the worst animated movies, although I guess it's not animated, it's one of the worst movies in history. It's definitely not as bad, but it does feel forced and just kind of feels like they were trying to give a reason for the animals working with him to go against him. Because we as the audience have a reason to go against the main villain. But the animals who turn on him don't really have a reason to until he says, hey, I'm going to take control over all of them, and you're all going to bow to me. And they're like, oh, well, screw that, I don't want that. Okay, I'm going to turn against him and be a good guy now. Some of the comedy feels rushed or forced, though it's not a huge issue overall, but there are some cheesy jokes that I don't really think fit the vibe or the tone of the film that much. The story can feel a little scattered at times, like it's consistently rushing to the next set piece, and it's basically between wacky animal hijinks and sincere grandma stuff. Like it takes its serious tone serious, but then it goes into some crazy animal plot. The reveal that Mabel is actually human and not a beaver is definitely a cliche, even if it's necessary for the story, but it's still, you know, it's a bit predictable, but at least they didn't harp on it like they did with Flick in A Bug's Life. Speaking of which, funny coincidence, this is another nature Pixar movie involving animals with the word hopper involved, which I'm not saying that they rewatched some old movies to make this one, but they probably pulled a thing or two. Anyway, that's enough complaining about the film. What did I like about it? A lot. Pretty much everything else. First and foremost, this movie has a very clear and consistent message about nature and protecting animals, and it doesn't ever feel preachy. It's always present through the story. See, my biggest issue with Zootopia is that the message is there, and they definitely have something they want to tell, but they are not really sure how to tell it, and they sometimes struggle with the message, whereas this one was pretty clear and consistent. I like that the movie didn't dwell too much on the grandma dying. It's very obvious early on where that's going, you know? So the film wisely doesn't drag it out. I knew immediately whenever Mabel was sitting on that rock with her grandma the first time that she was gonna die. I 100% knew that was gonna happen, and I was just like, I really hope they don't harp on it, and they didn't, so that's great. The concept is actually really creative. The idea of humans being beamed into animals within the nature ecosystem is fun, and even though I initially thought they were actually controlling like real animals instead of robots, I didn't mind the twist. Mabel herself is a very compelling main character. The movie establishes early on why she cares so much about nature, which makes her determination feel actually believable. The connection between Mabel and her grandma is really sweet and gives emotional weight to everything she does, and it definitely connects to the overall story. I actually really like the Jerry redemption arc. It works pretty well. I mean, it's a little predictable, but I I didn't really mind it. I also like the three scientist people that are trying to get Mabel back. It's a fun little side element for the story that doesn't take up too much time, but doesn't, it doesn't overstay its welcome, but it's not in it so little that you forgot about it. The voice acting across the board is excellent, so I really think that the voice actors did a great job. It's cool that the director that worked on the show We Bare Bears made this film, and you can definitely feel some similarities in the humor and the character dynamics and even the story. Some people like to complain that Mabel's human design was wasted since she spends most of the movie as a beaver, and you might be expecting me to agree with that and be like, an example of that would be Tiana from Princess and the Frog or Joe in Soul. It's like, no, those were other different examples of it, whereas this one, it feels like there's a strong balance between human Mabel and beaver Mabel. It's kind of the point of the story, too. I mean, she's committed to finishing her mission, and becoming a beaver is the best way to do that. Also, for pros, I just wrote down King Beaver. That's it. He's just a really fun character. I love him. I want to protect him with my life. And the movie seems like it's going to be slow and grounded at first, but once Beaver Mabel squishes the queen butterfly, the movie suddenly becomes bizarre in a really entertaining way, and the pacing picks up a lot, yet it feels natural. It doesn't feel like they're just trying to appeal to the kids in the audience. I'm really, really glad that Pixar is going back to its methods of very similar to WALL-E, where they're caring about the environment and the animals and stuff, and they're actually trying to tell a good message. Like, yeah, they've done that before with, like, A Bug's Life, with Hopper, the whole 100 ants to 1 grasshopper thing, or, Soul with living your life to the fullest and enjoying the little things, but this one feels like an urgent message that they're actually trying to instill in the children of today, and I feel like that's a really good thing for the future of this world. Too many issues harm the ecosystems of our world and in nature, whether it's pollution, littering, other examples. Regardless, I think that this was a really good film, and I think that it was a message that needed to be told, especially now more than ever, and I think that they did it really well. And if you're wondering where I would rank this, I would rank it at number 18 on my list of Pixar films. I would say it's in between Finding Dory and Toy Story 4. It's better than Finding Dory, but it's not as good as Toy Story 4. That's kind of where I'm at with this. Anyway, I highly recommend you go check it out, because it's actually pretty good, and it's got a good message that actually makes you care about the environment and animals and stuff like that, and showcases how politicians don't give a damn about, actual issues that matter, like animals or wildlife or the environment or anything like that. They just really care about getting the votes. Most of the time. I'm sure there are plenty of good politicians out there, but yeah. Overall, Hoppers is a 8 out of 10. I know I just said it's number 18, but that's just because it's an 8 out of 10 doesn't mean it's going to be in the top 10, you know what I mean? I highly recommend you go check this out. I think the 8 out of 10 is a perfect score for this. I really, really like this, and I can't wait to check it out again once it comes out on Disney+. Anyway, check out my other videos and stuff. I'm working currently on another big kind of video. Not as big as the Pixar video, but not as small as the top 10 DreamWorks villains video. It's going to be a different one, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hope you guys enjoy Hoppers if you check it out. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, and bye-bye.